You are now listening to On One Radio, the talk show podcast station, bringing you the realest entertainment, information, music, lifestyle, and truth in comedy shows around. This is Let's Talk. I don't count likes, calories, or blessings. I don't dine with snakes or bite my tongue. It is what it is. I am what I am. I am your host, Tony Williams. Shout out to my new listeners and my own ones, day ones. Guys, please excuse me. I've been under the weather a little bit. Cold, allergy, sinus, whatever the hell this is. So I've been kind of flying under the radar here, but I still wanted to come and talk to you guys and let you guys know I'm still here. We are still kicking, and On One Radio is still pumping, okay? Sick or not, we getting it in. We gonna talk, yes. Now, all information and resources are based on the opinions of the host, unless otherwise noted. All information is, however, intended to motivate, encourage, and inspire positive change and a healthier lifestyle. Now, this podcast contains some quotation, images, and/or excerpts from copyrighted material. These uses fall well within the copyright doctrine of fair use. Fair use refers to the right to reproduce, share, and use. This is a live broadcast, and if you guys want to contact On One Radio's call-in number is 318-315-3971. Please note that the call may be monitored and or recorded for quality assurance purposes. Your continued participation in a telephone call serves as express consent to be monitored or recorded. Yes, so now that we've gone through all of that, now, it's a little after Thanksgiving, so I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. You ate good, you spent time with family, you bullshitted, you talked, you heard some new lies, you heard some old lies, and you laughed. You watched the kids play around, or whatever the case may be. I hope your Thanksgiving was indeed thankful and blessed. Mine was pretty good. What part of it I didn't sleep, but it was pretty good. The food was good, everybody was happy, and that was what that was. Now, moving right along. Now, I know y'all read the topic and was like, what in the hell is going on? Well, tonight we're going to be talking about West Philadelphia pill mills. The Fire Chicago cop is, of course, going to speak out. It's time. And we have some BS of the day. Y'all will find out what that is toward the end of the show. Now, are y'all ready to get it in or what? Now, I always say this, it's a lot going on. It's always something going on, whether we're aware of it or not, but something's always going on. Somebody's always moving, somebody's always grooving, somebody's always thinking, and it's always somebody awake. So something is always going to be going on 24/7. And it's a lot of information that does not really make national news. Some of it does, but for the most part, the more interesting stories that people actually want to hear don't exactly make the front page news and things like that. Some do. With internet, it's beginning to surface a little bit more. So let's get it in. Pill mill. What's a pill mill? I know somebody's thinking, what's a pill mill? An illegal pharmacy, basically. That's what a pill mill is. That's a no-no. We can't be fucking around like that. That's time that we don't have to waste behind bars. So that's a no-no. Now, it was reported that a Delaware County man was convicted of running a pill mill out of a West Philadelphia pharmacy, according to federal authorities. Now, the U.S. Attorney William McSwain announced that Amnon Sai Kamra, 27, of Upper Darby, was convicted at trial with conspiracy to distribute oxycodone outside the usual course of professional practice and with no legitimate medical purpose. Yeah, fits the definition, right? Kamra, a pharmacy technician at a campus pharmacy in West Philadelphia, conspired two other men, conspired with two other men who are being charged separately to illegally distribute thousands of oxycodone pills to people suffering from addiction. From about December 2012 through about March 2016, he and two others orchestrated and executed a scheme to turn the pharmacy into a pill mill in which Kamrat knowingly filled fake prescriptions written by Fisher in sham patient names and gave them to one of the men to sell in street level drug deals. Oh, he was trying to be a little kingpin on the cool. That's what he was trying to do. Now, at times, he would sell drugs without a prescription and then request that one of the men backdate a fake prescription in an attempt to cover the tracks. Now, he then testified that his backdating of prescriptions was a mere courtesy on behalf of the doctor so patients could receive their prescriptions in a timely manner. But undercover video evidence definitely showed that was some bullshit. That was a lie. The small pharmacy in West Philadelphia sold so many opioids that some were hidden, some under the sink, for fear their distributor would notice the overabundance and cut them off for exceeding the allowable limit. So, I mean, that's hiding it and everything else. So they knew what they were doing. They definitely knew what the hell they were doing, to a certain degree. But that's what I mean about people doing things, not thinking, not using common sense. You're not going to be able to continue to get away with this. And the more you do this, the worse it's going to be for you and the people you're quote unquote serving. You're hurting yourself and them. So this is a no-win situation. So why even take that on? Now, the case was investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and is being prosecuted by Assistant United States Attorney Mary Kay Costello and Amanda Renitz. I might have butchered the name, but that's what the fuck I said it is, so that's what that is. But that's not something that you really want to be involved in. You're doing too damn much. A pill mill, you doing too damn much. That's not cool. That's not helpful to nobody. And you making it worse for the people who are out there legitimately in pain, who cannot receive pain medication from their doctors because of all of this type of bullshit going on. So you actually are causing other people to suffer. So this is not a good look. This is not a good look in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's not okay. And it really does need to stop. So we need to be aware of what's going on. Make sure we're very vigilant. And for those who are on the right track, stay on the right track. For those who are out there who are struggling, look, go get help. If you know somebody that's struggling with this type of issue, tell them to go get help. Take them to go get help. Something. Anything, anything to attempt to help. Because this shit is ridiculous. This is out of control. And it's hurting too many people. Way too many people. But it only became national news when it became a quote-unquote epidemic, when it was more than just the rich housewives that were doing it, or the nannies, or whatever the case was. It wasn't an epidemic then. But it is one now. Just a little food for thought. Just a little food for thought. Okay. So, moving right along. Now, over to the Chicago police superintendent. Now, everybody is talking about this, true enough, and I just had to go ahead and do it. Now, the circumstances surrounding all of this is very questionable. All the way around. If you really look at this, it is questionable. Eddie Johnson, who was fired as the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, for what Mayor Lori Lightfoot called a series of ethical lapses. Now, defended himself Tuesday, saying that he has ended his career with his integrity intact. Questionable. I did not intentionally mislead or deceive the mayor or the people of Chicago, while also acknowledging that he made a poor decision that had a lapse of judgment in connection to an October incident in which he was found asleep behind the wheel of his car. That was a mistake, and I know that Johnson 59 added. However, I have no interest in fighting a battle for my reputation with those that want to question it now. Reputations are not built in a day and not damaged in a day either. I don't know. Hold on, partner, hold on. I have to disagree with that. One day can make or break a reputation. That's how that works. So you can't really use that Rome wasn't built in a day type of thing. No. You had some other choices. Now, they are the result of years of living, he goes on to state. We reap what we sow in this world. Okay, now he made that statement, so he should know for sure what the issue was and what led to that and how he ended up that way. Now, Johnson's first public comments following his unexpected firing on Monday shed no further light on what occurred after midnight on October 17th, as well as in the hours leading up to his decision to drive home. See, that's what I'm saying, questionable. Now, Lightfoot has declined to share details about what happened that evening and how she says Johnson repeatedly lied to her afterwards. An investigation into Johnson's actions being conducted by the city's Office of Inspector General remains ongoing, although Lightfoot stated that the details in it may eventually become public. She says she reviewed the Inspector General's report and videotape evidence to come to her decision. What was on the videotape, boy? What was on the videotape? What was you doing? Now, a source confirmed that Johnson had been out to dinner that evening with a female colleague of the police department. It gets deeper. It really does. See, I knew it was questionable because there was some time missing. You don't just, you know what I mean? You don't just lose too much time when you're out. That something has to lead up to that. Something has to be going on to hold your attention and or focus completely. You have to be engrossed into what you're doing to be that tired to fall asleep behind the wheel. Now, and then to say he had been out to dinner that evening with a female colleague of the police department. Now, the source also said Johnson had not seen the video to which the mayor is referring. So, bruh, they know some shit you don't know. Clearly, obviously. They done seen something. Because after the video, she was able to come to her decision on it. Now, in announcing Johnson's firing, Lightfoot said that he had told me something that happened that night that turned out to be fundamentally different than what he had portrayed to me and what he portrayed to members of the public. Perhaps worst of all, she went on to say, Mr. Johnson has misled the people of Chicago. On Monday, Lightfoot alluded to Johnson's actions having an effect on his family and didn't want to go into detail because I don't feel like it is appropriate or fair to Mr. Johnson's wife or children to do so at this time. So it's exactly what I was starting to think. Are y'all following along with this? Like I said, I knew it was fishy. I knew something was up with that. It's got to be. And for it to be a female, and then it's a late night, and then you that tired, where all your energy go, boo-boo? What was you doing? Now, A driver first reported to 911 that Johnson was slumped behind his steering wheel at about 12:30 a.m. in front of a stop sign near his home. A breathalyzer test was not administered at the scene, but according to a source, Lightfoot said Johnson had later told her that he had a couple of drinks with dinner before the incident. Johnson told reporters in October that he pulled over because he wasn't feeling well, and that while he had changed out his old blood pressure medication, he failed to take his new prescription. Last month, Lightfoot continued to laud Johnson for his service in the department. He began his career as a patrol officer in '98. That's a long career. As he announced, he planned to retire as superintendent at the end of the year. But Lightfoot's announcement on Monday took the city by surprise. In his statement, Johnson, who is a Chicago native who grew up in the public housing, thanked both Lightfoot and her predecessor, Rahm Emanuel, who tapped him to lead the nation's second largest municipal police force in 2016 at a time of turmoil following the police shooting of black teenager Laquan McDonald. Now, he also thanked the interim superintendent, former Los Angeles police chief Charlie Beck, who began his duties on Monday, as well as the people of Chicago who have treated me with respect and decency during these past few years, even when we had disagreements about particular issues. At an unrelated news conference Tuesday, Beck said he remains friends with Johnson and will continue to seek his advice during this transition. I'll say this: none of us are perfect and everybody makes mistakes, but we have to live with that, Beck said. So that's kind of pretty much hinting around to what was going on. The missus is getting cheated on. Like, royally cheated on. And pretty much all his stories were conflicting and not adding up. And he did, in fact, tell the community one thing and other people another thing. And, well, that's what that is. You lied, bruh. And so the statement that he chose to say at the beginning was that he has ended his career with his integrity intact. How? You cheating, you've been drinking, you've been lying, but your integrity intact? Your reputation has been dismantled. Because whatever is done in the dark will come to the light. You cannot hide it. No one can. No one's off limits. I don't care who you are. It's going to come out. So, which made all of his previous statements about not intentionally mislead or deceive the mayor or the people of Chicago. You misled and lied to your wife. You doing other things besides being at home with your wife and kids. If you can disrespect them, how can you professionally be trusted? If you hurt the closest people to you, if you're lying to the closest people to you, how can you serve the public? You cannot. You cannot serve with your integrity actually intact, because it is not. You are a part of a family unit that you are destroying. So if you cannot protect, guide, and lead your family unit, you're going to have a hard time trying to lead and guide the public. So yeah, true enough, everybody does make mistakes. I won't doubt that. But he truly does have to live with what he did and is about to get out of this. Because we don't know. We don't know yet if the wife truly knows. I mean, it might be a situation where she might know and just be like, tell him behind doors, I'm gonna kick your motherfucking ass for putting me out there and have me out there looking like a motherfucking fool. Or she could be that denial queen and just be like, nope, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not him, it's not my man, and that's just that. And just be all gung-ho with it. And make herself believe that and stick it out with them. I mean, it's so many other routes that she could go with it. But it's all on her loyalties to him and to her children, which all now is in question. That's just being honest about it. Raw, uncut truth. That's what we do. Raw, uncut truth. Everything is in question. And counseling, I don't know, maybe. Who knows? But if anything else comes out about that particular story, you know, guys, I will definitely let y'all know. Now, moving along to the BS of the day. Now, I found this kind of interesting because at one point I thought, you know, back in the day about calling this place myself. So many people watched the show. I mean, I watched the show myself. Extreme Makeover, Home Edition. But I always wondered what the catch was. Because with me, I know there's always a catch-22 with everything. That's the way I see things. I don't know. It's just, it's that way. And, well, reading this particular story really kind of drove home the message for me about rethinking things and researching and checking. Because this particular woman, she did so. I mean, it's a beautiful home. But what could really go wrong with this? Now, Extreme Makeover Home Edition. House is foreclosed. Family now left homeless after show. Yes, I said that. Tell me that is not perfect for the BS of the day. Now, Arlene Nicholas was the lucky woman who got her house remodeled by the popular show Extreme Makeover, where over hundreds of volunteers turned up to help the construction. The episode was aired on national TV, and it did pretty much well. Arlene couldn't have been happier after getting her dream house, but sadly that was about to change when she got an eviction notice. Can you imagine? Like, seriously, can you imagine going through all of this rigmarole to get on this show, to get, you know, your house made over and live comfortably? And, you know, that's like the whole dream. Hell, it made me want to call it. But after seeing this, I be damned, I'm not trusting it now. With good reason. So, here we go. New and improved. Now, following the tragic and untimely death of her husband, Tim, the Nicholas family were selected by the show. Arlene was trying her best to raise her 3 kids all on her own, which compelled the producers over at ABC Studios to help the widowed mom. Ooh. Arlene's ever so helpful neighbors pitched in with their support and made it possible for her to get her 3,200 square foot house transformed into the home she always wanted. I mean, that's the dream. That's why people watch it. Because it's like, oh wow, a family is going to, you know, get a nice home that they deserve. As much happiness as the new and improved home brought Arlene, it also came with its baggage. With time, the taxes on the property increased by 300%, which tripled the original value. She struggled hard with the payments and finally caught up with them, only to be met with more important expenses that couldn't be overlooked. This was a huge setback for Arlene. Surrounded with misery and anguish, Arlene did the math and saw herself moving out of her house in the coming future. The house was mortgaged, and sadly in September, its possession was taken away from the single mom, putting it up for auction. It's almost like you're being robbed. Your house is being stolen from you. This is kind of the vibe that this one gives me. And I think that's why I felt that it was important that it needed to be put out there. Now, I don't know about your neighborhood or where you're from, but there is a little joke people say, I don't care if I'm living in a cardboard box, at least I'm living. But that is until that shit happens to you, and then you're like, oh, what the hell? Now, can we say agony and dejection? To go through all of this. Cardboard boxes full of her and her family's things were put on moving trailers due to head out on Sunday. Now, Arlene was overcome with the sadness of losing her house, especially because her house was a family possession and her husband lived in it for so long. Arlene found it extremely difficult to handle the agony and dejection the entire situation brought with it. And I'm pretty sure she didn't know any of this was going to be coming with it because, hell, I didn't know until I came across this story. Now, she didn't see many options in front of her. Owing to the fact that her family was soon to be homeless, things just weren't going in her favor. And I'm pretty sure you can see how, but I don't know. We'd have to fight about this. Now, Arlene remembers the day that extreme homemaker guys landed on her front yard as clear as day. It was one of the happiest moments of her life when she was awestruck with the sheer glamour the camera crew brought along with Ty Pennington. And of course, now, however, the happy and glamorous feelings have drifted away. She can only think about the disastrous outcome and how there isn't much happiness for her to hold on to anymore. And I can see why. And I know that shit's gotta hurt. And she feels that they are, something else could have been done. Like, something else really could have been done. So it's almost like, are they to blame or are they not to be blamed? Now, people have been putting a lot of blame on the show Extreme Makeover, as there are numerous cases of families being left homeless after they have appeared on the show due to the fact that the burden of the taxes increases by manifold factors. Arlene, however, isn't one of those people, and she quickly came to rescue the show's reputation, stating that it wasn't the show's fault for her bad break. Yeah, that's kind of shocking. Instead, she pointed her finger at her mortgage servicer, which is now being looked into by investigators and authorities. Apparently, the time spent with the team of Extreme Makeover was an amazing ride for the single mama. But she don't blame them? Like, no part of it? Are we thinking pre-existing money problems? Now, the closing down of her house was the result of the already existing house-related problems, she stated. Now, the rising cost of the property wasn't being well received by her, even before the TV show got in contact with the family. Initially, after the makeover, the house was indebted to a total of $30,000, but over the years, that amount escalated by 2016. Now, Arlen owed $113,000. Quite obviously, this was something Arlene just couldn't afford. And I mean, how could you? I mean, her husband was deceased, and there's 3 kids, and you got to do everything. Now, in an interview, Arlene revealed the personal side of the family. Her husband, Tim, with whom she was married for 18 amazing years, had contracted an illness when he used contaminated medical supplies. Oh, that is sad. He found the disease valiantly for 7 long... Pardon me, my mouth is a little parched there. Hold on one second. Let me get my tea. Okay, here we go. He fought the disease valiantly for 7 long years before he succumbed to it in January of 2008. 9 months later, Extreme Makeover stepped in to help the struggling family. It was a huge loss to the single mom and her kids, and they weren't sure how they were going to cope without a husband and, of course, a father. Because, I mean, at this time, they're still mourning. So it takes a while. And grief is not something that just really goes away overnight, just, snap. it's done over, everything is at peace. No, it still takes time. Some is sooner than others, some is longer than others. So it just depends on the person. Now, the community she live in, I know for them to pitch in and want to help the show do this for her, I know they probably had to have some mad love for her. Kind of like an all for one and one for all type of community. Now, lost and alone in the world, Arlene had nowhere to look for help, or so she thought. Apart from extreme makeover support, Arlene received another unexpected and kind gift. It was unbelievable for Arlene when she saw the support of 1,600 people from the neighborhood all coming to help together to help rebuild the family's 1860s farmhouse. Due to the medical condition of her husband, all efforts of the family were put into his well-being, and not much care was shed upon the house itself. And, I mean, we can understand why. After the death of Tim, she just didn't much care for maintenance. I mean, she lost her husband. So, at that time, no. For a while, you're not going to really be... You're there, but you're not quite there because you're going through... Like, let's just be real about it. Emotional turmoil, because you just like, my man is gone, and it's just me. So I gotta buck up, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and it's like, it's too much. And so you kind of check out a little bit. But in came the wrecking ball. Their old home was demolished from the site, which proved to be a difficult thing for the family. As long with the house, the amazing memories they had shared with the house weren't as tangible as they were before, but it had to be done, apparently. The process of rebuilding was rather quick, taking a little over 5 days. After the team had finished, Arlene and her family were presented with a gorgeous 3,300 square foot house with 4 bedrooms. The house received some unique tweaks like stone columns and dark wooden floors. But as we know, it drives up, the value. And rather quickly. Now, famous for leaving personal touches for each individual of the family, the show did the same with the Nicholas family as well. Each of the 3 boys was given themed bedrooms, which include a Lego-themed room, a blueprint-themed bedroom, and finally an airplane-themed bedroom. Extreme Makeover really got to know the boys and put in a lot of effort and time in understanding them and their interests. Remarkably, the entire neighborhood came together to support, which is a great thing because nowadays neighborhoods really don't come together anymore and support like that. The timing couldn't have been more flawless. During a period so just aggravating for the family, the show couldn't have offered their help at a better time. These were the views of Nicholas' family when their morals were uplifted with the Extreme Makeover's intervention. One of the many good things that came out of the makeover was that the state and banks involved in the mortgage found ways to cut the initial cost of $140,000 substantially to the amount of $30,000. Now all she needed to do was find that kind of money, which you talking about $30,000. Unless you going to jump on a stripper pole, or you just gonna go out there and stand at the bus stop and wait for a bus that never shows up. I don't know. If you're not working like that, you don't have that type of income. You just can't just poof, wish up 30 G's like that. The annual taxes till now have crossed the triple threshold, and that's 9 years later after the makeover. Needless to say, this increase with a massive setback for the family with their finances increasing and their bank statements depleting to pretty much nothing. Now, she knew she had to find a way to get her family out of it, otherwise they were bound to be homeless permanently. But of course, that's easier said than done. Now, finding such an enormous amount of money is no easy task, especially when you have 3 kids to raise on your own. That just ain't happening. So, it begs the question, why? Because that's just bills on top of bills and on top of bills. Now, all on top of the ever-existing finances of the house, you've got medical bills and everything else from her husband, left from when he passed. The urgent matters placed themselves on top of the priority list for the family, and by the end of 2010, she had to kiss her home goodbye to a sheriff's cell. Now, she tried her best, but it wasn't looking good for her. And we've all been in situations like, that's not going that great, and you're worried about what's going to happen, and things eventually work out, but it's never really how you expect them to. Now, in between the storm of confusion and problems, the mortgage service that was handling Arlene's case offered to pay off the money the family owed if she could come up with $15,000. However, her mortgage was taken over by another company before she even had the chance to pay the money. That's the fuckery in it. After this incident, for years, the family struggled with clearing their debt, which was growing month after month, and they just couldn't find their silver lining. So, you really have to really stay on top of what it is you really want to do, even if it's your dream. You have to think about everything. Now, desperate for answers, Arlene looked everywhere, but it was almost impossible to receive help from a company who spoke English. In the end, Arlene decided to stop her payments simply because she didn't know where her money was going. You can't really blame her on that, because you get so far into it, and it's like a hurricane just coming through. But you got to be vigilant. And apparently, according to the statement released, the company did not maintain records and crediting payments, which meant that Arlene wasn't just paying massive amounts to this company, but her payment history wasn't even being recorded. Okay, so I can kind of understand and kind of see why she really wasn't really too upset with her extreme makeover. But this is sad, because this had to happen for her to understand that her whole setup was not even being properly done. The paperwork was not being done. So from 2011 onwards, the time when the company started to process Arlene's loan, she halted all the payments for the house, although the company carried on to pay all taxes and insurance on her home. The value of the house has risen to $270,000, which is way more than it actually was before the show gave it a revamp. Help was offered in 2014 by a company that offered a change in the payment plan to Arlene, but that was still a bit too much for her to go through with. So, she's starting to think. She's starting to, really think about some stuff. Okay, I'm already in a fucked up situation. I can't do something that's going to make it just horrendously worse. People have offered suggestions to help out the family, most of them turning their attention to non-profit mortgage programs. Regrettably, these companies can only provide little help since they have their own scarce finances to take care of, which is true, because nowadays funds are tied up for a lot of charities and different companies that have actually been there to help people. So in 2016, the house went for another foreclosure and was sold for $113,000. Funds needed by the family were raised, which led to the house being on the auction list on the auction website for $176,000. For this reason, it is expected the family vacate the premises as quickly as possible. So it's like, hurry up and get out. Went through all of this hell and high water with this house, and you're stressing out because it's getting demolished and rebuilt, and you're finally going to have your dream home, and then this. So the question still stands, and I know it's going to be for a lot of people, but is it the show's fault? Now, Arlene had stated from the start that Extreme Makeover isn't to blame for her current financial situation, but there are other cases where families who appeared on the show have lost their home. A formal reply hasn't been issued by any spokesperson of the show regarding those allegations. Of course, they don't want to talk about that. Why would they talk about it? Because then it would be admitting guilt. So, no, they're not going to talk about it. Now, the mortgage servicer had admitted to the fact that there were some discrepancies with some of their projects and their expense, but has stated that they have cut back their bills to avoid further mistakes occurring in the future. How the hell is that helping this woman and her kids? This is the part where it gets left off because it still doesn't, they're still not being helped. So, I mean, is it bad press? The show hasn't always been known for its good reputation. There are sources who allege that Arlene and her family aren't the only ones to lose their home because of the show. There have been a few others as well, they keep saying. This reputation is further tarnished by the fact that the show's presenter, Ty Pennington, has never shown any sort of sympathy for the affected families. Not just that, but in an interview, Ty stated that it was in no way the responsibility of the show for what happens after the makeover. I mean, is that in the paperwork? Are they telling people that? Or is this just more bullshit? But of course, making it worse, that's why this story ended up being BS of the day. When you thought it couldn't get any worse, it comes another reason to damage the show's reputation. Sources claim that the show's motives are not actually... that just hurt my little feelings there. It's not innocent as they seem at first sight. The show claims that it's about caring for people and turning their lives around. But on the contrary, people claim that nothing could be further from the truth. A few of the families that have appeared on the show were ultimately made to sell their house or move to some other neighborhood. This is mostly because they were never made aware of the price of their new house and how it would affect them. Tisk, tisk. Details. The details are very important. Gotta read that damn fine print. Read before you sign anything. Research before you think about signing anything. Now, sadly, no one knows what the future holds for the Nicholas family, who were one of the unlucky ones to be dragged into this mess after the show. Losing a husband and father is tough enough. No one should have to go through losing their home, too. A lot of rebuilding has been put in by Arlene to get her life back on track, and it's hard when you have so many memories that don't have a home to settle into. If there's anything to be learned from Arlene's situation, it's to always keep your chin up, never lose hope. This is also her message to the other affected families from the show. Now, my message to anyone that's dealing with that particular type of situation, things do in fact happen for a reason. Just pay a little close attention next time. Make sure you understand that everything that glitters is not gold. Read the fine print and don't just sign your life away without making sure that's really, really, really what you intend to do. And you know the good, the bad, the ugly, and the bullshit of it. So you can make a really good informed decision. So you're not left regretting. Because I feel for these families, and like I said before, at one point, I actually thought about wanting to call them myself. You know, new board here, a new toilet here, but no, not if I'm going to be homeless. Hell no. That shit ain't happening. Not this nigga him. It's not happening. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. I can't do it. And I apologize if that word offended anybody, but at the same time, I'm really not fucking sorry. It's just who I am. Yes. Now, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And I appreciate y'all being here. And I hope the rest of your week goes really good. Goes really good, and there are no hiccups, and everything is straight. Because you have been listening to On One Radio, the talk show podcast station. I have been your host, Tony Williams. While you're online, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to the On One Radio page on Facebook. While you're there, check into the On One's Day One's private group. Yes, check there, join that group, so that way you can get all the in-depth information. When you're on YouTube, go over there, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so you can keep up with what's going on with me. The name over there is Tony On One. Yes, my podcasts are there. Shout out to all my my YouTube fam over there. SP News Nuggets and the whole crew. Just, it's so many over there. TR, Amp Easy, School Bus Driver Loves the Kids, Shar Brady, Helen Reed. I mean, there's just so many over there. Oh, big ups to Sunny Giovanni. She just released another book. We're gonna have to get her on back on here and talk too. If you know an artist, an artistic mind who deserves a little bit of podcast love and talent recognition, email me on oneradiotalk@gmail.com to the attention of Artist Highlights. Now, if you've got some BS for the BS of the day, you can also email at the attention of BS of the day. And if you just want to say, hey, shoot me an email. You got a question, concern, or comment, I'll be more than happy to respond. The shows are Monday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And tune in. Now, if you're listening on the podcast stations, big ups to you guys. Y'all know these shows are downloadable, and you can listen to them whenever you get ready. Tell your homegirls, your homeboys, your co-workers, your boss about me. Show you girls some love. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my talk show podcast. I wish you the best, and don't allow anybody to fuck up your vibes. I have been your host, Tony Williams, and you have been listening to Let's Talk. I'll see y'all Wednesday night at 9 Central Standard Time. Give me a call, 318-315-3971 on Wednesday night. Let me hear from you. Maybe you got some BS of the day.